Namaskar. Welcome to this session. We were considering the fact that the Sankhyas criticized by Neo-Vedantis as atheistic philosophers or Niriswaravadins. So this is baseless for simple reason that the Sankhya's do admit Adibhutik, Adidaivik, Adhyatmika aspects. And the culture that has come from Sanatana Dharma is soaked in Adidaivik, Adhyatmika, Adibhautik aspects. No philosopher has overlooked, neglected, refuted these concepts. As a matter of fact, they are all soaked. All the Shad Darshanas, Vedic Darshanas are soaked in Adidaivik, Adhyatmika, Adibhautik aspects. When these three are accepted and these are the fundamentals of any philosophical system, it doesn't really score any merit to brand anything as atheistic philosophers or Nirishwaravadins. There can be no Nirishwaravada when Adibhautik, Adidaivik, Adhyatmik aspects are embraced or they are foundational pillars. And all the philosophical systems have that at their foundation, these concepts. So, Iswarakrshna's Sankhya also accepts, admits, embraces, and gets founded on Adidaiva, Adhyatma, Adibhuta. Now, these concepts are bedrock principles of Vedic culture, Vedic civilization, Vedic philosophy, Vedic life, rituals, thoughts, philosophies, conduct, Dharma. And that is what we were seeing about these three aspects. And that is why the Vedic thought has lent an idea which is Adhyatmik Adhishtanam, Adidaivik Sangathanam, Adibhautik Avishkaranam. The manifestations are Adibhautik, constituted by Adidaivik and founded on Adhyatmik bedrock principle. So this is the marvel of the Vedic thought process, and these three aspects are really bedrock principles. I would like to draw your attention to 8th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, which tells us about how important are these things. The 8th chapter commences with a verse, Kim tad Brahma, Kim Adhyatmam, Kim Karma Purushottama, Adibhutam cha Kim Proktam, Adidaivam Kimuchyate. Inquiry. Arjuna inquires because he also has heard about all these things. He has heard about Brahma, he has heard about Adhyatma, Karma, Adibhutam, Adidaivam. So he has heard about it and now he wants to have some kind of advice from his Guru, because he is the Shishya of Bhagavan Shri Krishna. So he wants to hear this from Guru. And that is why he puts this question. And this is the basics of the 8th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, which is very, very significantly called Brahmayoga. And Precisely, it is called Akshara Brahmayogam. Akshara, indestructible, and Brahma Yoga. And of course, Brahma Yoga would be supreme form of yoga. And therein, Arjuna puts these questions. And every Oriental mind, Hindu mind, has heard about these concepts but not clear about these. So that is why Arjuna, representing us, put this wonderful question to him. What is this Brahma? What is Adhyatma? What is Karma? What is Adibhutam? And what is Adidaivam? And addenda to the question, Adhyagnyam katham ko atram dehe asmin madhusudana prayana kale cha katham gneyo asi niyatatmabhihi. So, he also questions about Adhyagnyam. So, therefore, it's a marvelous chapter, particularly with the topic that we are dealing. And Bhagwan Sri Krishna briefly defines these concepts. Aksharam Brahma Paramam. What is Brahma? Aksharam Paramam. Aksharam, indestructible, undiminishing, and Paramam, supreme. So Brahma is that which is the most supreme and that which is absolutely indestructible. And that is Brahma. Then Swabhavo Adhyatma Uchyate. Swabhavo Adhyatma Uchyate. Swabhava, essential nature of anything and everything, is Adhyatma. And we speak about the essence of something, essence of everything. We want to know what is essence of something and essence of everything. What is that essence? And in today's world, perhaps we might be calling it essence. That's something which is intrinsic, inherent, substantive aspect of anything and everything. Everything has a substantive aspect. Swarupam. It could be matter, or it could be life. We want to know what is the essence of life. We want to know what is the essence of one's being. So that is called Swabhava. The Swabhavam Adhyatma Uchyate. So what is our Swabhavam? What is our intrinsic nature? The body is not our inherent intrinsic nature, because that comes and goes, and that grows and then shrinks and then appears and then disappears and takes birth and then dies. So that cannot be our essential nature. So our Jivasvarupam can be said to be our essential nature. We are Jivas. And this Jiva is again a metaphysical inquiry as to what is this Jiva. And then he explains as a part of question what is karma. Bhuta bhavodbhava karo visargaha karma sagnitaha. So that which creates this manifest creation, visible creation, gross creation, tangible creation, one which creates this bhuta bhava, and that behind that there is a tyaga, some sacrifice, some tyaga. When something is sacrificed, something comes up. Something is given, something comes up. So that tyaga, that is karma. That is karma, and this is the very essential definition of karma. Usually we don't come across this definition, we don't consider it. We think karma is our activity. But very interesting definition has been given here by Lord Krishna. Adibhutam ksharo bhavaha. Adibhutam. What is its nature? Ksharo bhavaha. That means it is destructible. Utpatti and vinasham. So it will come into existence and it will also go into oblivion, latency, destruction. So all those things which come and go, that is the Adibhutam. And then what is Adidaivam? Purushascha Adidaivatam. Purusham Atma. Now, it's also called Sutratma, Hiranyagarbha, Prajapati, Brahma. Various nomenclatures are there for this Atma. This Atma is a glorious principle with little insight into Adhyatma. One will get to know how this life principle is a marvel. I recall Lord Krishna telling us in the second chapter, Ascharyavat pashyati kaschid enam ascharyavat vadati tathaiva chanyah ascharyavat chainamanyah shrunoti shrutvampyena vedam na chaiva kaschit. Atma is really a marvel. Some noble person, Mahapurusha, will be looking at this Atma with some marvel, wonder. So somebody will hear about another great noble person, will be describing the Atma to be heard. So it is marvel to be watched, marvel to be seen, marvel to be heard. And someone will describe this as a marvel. And some great noble soul will listen to that with a marvel. And some, even after hearing, don't understand it. This is a metaphysical principle of Atma, which is really a marvelous, marvelous principle, because in the same chapter, second chapter, we were told, Na enam veti hantaram yaschainam manyate hatam ubhau utau na vijanito nayam hanti na hanyate. So it's a marvel. This Atma cannot be killed nor kills. And those who think that Atma is killed and can be killing is nothing but stupidity, stoneheadedness. Because Atma doesn't kill nor gets killed. Now, is it not a marvel? Na jayate mriyate va kadachinnayam bhutva bhavita vana bhuya ajo nityaha shashvatoyam purano na hanyate hanyamane sharire. So in the second chapter, 20th verse, he tells us, no Atma is ever born, nor is ever dead. It is really, really eternal. Sanatana, Purana, and Amrita Purusha. So, is it not a marvel that we know that whole creation takes place, but this is not a part of creation, this is not created. We know the things come and go, but this is not the thing that will come and go. It has no birth, it is Nitya, Sanatana, Prachina. Absolutely, absolutely ageless. The body might be slayed, but this is unscathed. Nothing happens to it. It is avinashi. Naina chindanti shastrani, nainam dahati pavakaha, na chainam kledayantyapo, na shoshayiti marutaha. Is it not a marvel that this is something that cannot be cut by weapons? The fire cannot burn it, the water cannot drench it, and the air cannot dry it. Achedyo ayam adhayo ayam akledyo ayam shocha evacha ashocha evacha nityaha sarvagatasthánur achalo ayam sanatanaha. So how it is a marvel. Achedyo ayam. Nothing can be pierced into it. Nothing can drench it. Nothing can dry it. It is nityam, it is sarvavyapi, it is achala and sanatana. Point to be noted here, it is sarvavyapi. Now we think that the life is only on the planet and nowhere else. The point is, our kind of life is only on the planet. It doesn't mean that the life is nowhere else, because the Atma is sarvavyapi, all pervasive. Where is it that Atma is not there? There is no place in the universe where there is no Atma. In some form or the other, it will be having whatever embodiment. Moreover, it is achala, sthira and sanatana. So these predicates tell us that it is something that you cannot imagine. Avyakto ayam achintyo ayam avikaryo ayam uchyate tasmadevam viditvenam nanu shochitumarhasi. Why are you soaring? That you might slay your grandsire, you might slay your acharya, you might slay your cousins, uncles. This Atma is avyakta, achintya, nominal, unthinkable, vikara rahita, immutable. And therefore, Arjuna, know that Atma is like this and just give up your sorrow. So, is it not a marvel? And that's why in the 29th verse, as I quoted, he says, Ascharyavat pashyati kaschid enam ascharyavat vadati tathaiva chanyaha ascharyavat chainamanyaha shrunoti shrutvapena vedana chaiva kaschit. So I explained this verse. It is indeed a marvel. It is indeed a marvel. So that is what in the 8th chapter he just sums that up in just one predicate, which is a marvelous predicate. So he says that the Atma is Adidaivam. Purushascha Adidaivatam. It is Purusha Adidaivatam because when the Atma is manifesting, all the Panchatattvas are there to subserve it. Agni Devata, Vayu Devata, Jala Devata, Prithvi Devata, Dig Devata, Indra, Varuna, Agni, all these Devatas are there to serve. Because the Atma is going to take a manifestation, a sheath, or the form of body. The whole nature is there to subserve. And the nature is Adidaivam. And that is why we describe the nature, and we have also postulate a principle, celestial principle or godly principle behind that. Jala Devata, Vana Devata, Parvata Devata, Prithvi Devata, Apva Devata, Tej Devata, Agni Devata, Vayu Devata, Dig Devata. So these are all devatas. When the Purusha is going to be there to manifest in some form or the other, all the celestial forces are there to subserve. So there will be embodiment. When there is an embodiment, the embodiment is nothing but Indriya Sanghata. As I told you the other time, Indriya of Indra. Who is Indra? He is the king of all gods. So when the king of gods are there to subserve, naturally all the deities, demi-deities, semi-deities are there to subserve. The whole band of Daivatas will be there to subserve this Atmatattvam, because it is indeed marvelous. So one of the mystic poet has said, and I recall that, the Almighty Bhagavan takes avatars, and we know about Dasha avatars. So whenever these avatars are taken, all the celestial deities come down along with him and play some role during the avatar. So when Sri Rama was born, all the deities were on the planet. When Sri Krishna was born, all the deities came down to planet. When Vamana took the avatar, all the celestial deities came to serve him. Because wherever the divinity goes, the deities follow, the devatas follow. So that is the Bhagavad Avatara Rahasya. When Bhagavan manifests, he doesn't manifest singly, but all the deities come to subserve him. Similarly, it is said for every Jivatma. Atma again being the part of Bhagavan. Mamai Vangshaha Jiva Bhute Jiva Lokas Sanatanaha. It is my part. This finite being is my part. And when his part is taking up a body, of any kind of body, all the deities take up place in embodiment. That is why our embodiment has, it's a dwelling place for all the 33 devatas. Ashtavasu, Ekadasha Rudra, Dvadasha Aditya, Ashwini Kumar, or Indra Prajapati. All the deities are going to reside in this. So the moment Atma is taking a body, all the celestial deities are also coming. Like when a president of the country is visiting another country, it is not just one president visits. It's a aircraft full crew will be assisting the president and will be following the president, from personal secretary to secretary of states and finance and whatever. So when a prime minister visits another country, it is not just one prime minister visiting. From his personal attendants, so many members are in the team. But the newspaper says, Prime Minister of so and so country arrives in so and so country. President of so and so country arrives in so and so country. As if he is going to take only one seat in the aircraft and come to that country. That's not possible. It's impossible. Not probable. So, airplane full of his personal assistants to every kind of assistant in political affairs, socio-economic affairs, industrial affairs, business affairs. So many people arrive with one head of the state arriving in some country. So when the Atma is going to arrive in an embodiment, all the deities, 33 devatas, they will be coming. The devatas, the deities, the demi-deities, the semi-deities. So our embodiment is full of deities. This fact is unknown to a layman. It is because this Atma is a marvel. So when Bhagwan is going to manifest, all the deities come down with him, follow his avatar and stay in his vicinity. All the deities also come in the embodiment. And that is why there is Adidaivic constitution. Our shariram is Indriya Sanghatam. And Indriya means celestial forces. Indeed, every organ is a marvel. How the liver functions, heart functions, lung functions, gallbladder to urinary bladder, they function. Every organ that it functions, it's a marvel. It's a marvel. It is because it is celestial. It is presided over by a celestial force. That is why we have Indriya Samstha in vernacular. While in Western world, they have anatomy, non-atmik. Whereas it is Devatas who want to come in and occupy the place in the body when Atma is getting into it. So the Atma is therefore a marvel. The Atma, the Purusha Tattva entering an embodiment means the whole band of Devatas are going to come in. And that is what he means in that verse of Bhagavad Gita, the 8th chapter. So, Purushascha Adidaivatam. The Purusha will not come singularly. All the Devatas will follow. So, we have seen the brief meanings of Adhyatma, which is Swabha, Adhyatma Uchyate. What is the Adibhuta? Adibhuta, what is Adidaiva? Adibhutam Ksharobhavaha. Very, very brief, laconic definition. Adibhutam Ksharobhavaha. That which is Kshara, destructible, which is waning, which is going towards destruction, heading towards destruction and annihilation. That is Adibhutam. And then Adidaivam is because of the Atma. All the deities come in. This is beautifully explained in Subala Upanishad. We have Chaturdasha Indriyas, where 14 Devatas are residing. Major Devatas of the Vedic pantheon reside in these Karmendriyas, Jnanendriyas, Antakaranendriyas. 5 plus 5 plus 4. So that's why that is the Adidaivam. The moment Atma is there, all this is going to be there. When there is Atma in the body, you are going to have eyes and ears and nose and tongue and hands and legs and every kind of cognitive organ, every kind of internal organ. That's all going to make presence there. So that is the Adidaivam. So Adibhutam explained, Adidaivam explained, Adhyatmam explained, Swabhavam, essential intrinsic nature is the Swabhavam. And then of course Adiyagnyam. Adiyagnyam, he says, he himself is Adiyagnyam. As an Antaryami. Adiyagno aham eva tratehe deha bhutam vara. He says, I myself is Adhyagnyam. So, it also gives an understanding that it's a marvelous embodiment that we have. It is not just body of flesh and bones, but it's a marvelous constitution. It is because of Adidaivam, Adibhutam, Adiyagnyam, Adhyatmam. So, Bhagavad Gita gives a very, very introductory but very brief, but having enormous depth to the purport. As you graduate in studying Bhagavad Gita, you will get to discover the depth of all these concepts. So, Adibhutam, Adidaivam, Adhyatmam has been embraced by Sankhya. So far we saw that the Sankyam and the Yogam, Patanjali Yoga and even Iswarakrsna Sankhya, even if you don't count on Kapila Sankhya, even then these three concepts are accepted. Now in that case it cannot be not accepting Ishvara. Upanishads have Sankhya postulations, have embraced Sankhya concepts. Bhagavad Gita has embraced the Trigunas concept of Sankhya, Sattva, Rajatama Gunas, Gunatraya Vibhaga Yogam. Later in the text, the Gunatraya Vibhaga Yoga, Sattva, Shraddhatraya Vibhaga Yogam, and Kshetra Kshetranya Vibhaga Yogam. So all these are Sankhya concepts. But anyway, let me not leave a slight room for doubt. Despite the fact that Sankhya is also a theistic system and not as intimidated by the Neo-Vedantins as Niriswara Sankhya. The Sankhya, as a matter of fact, there is nothing like a Niriswara Sankhya. Even Iswarakrshna Sankhya is to be taken as Seshwara Sankhya. But why then it is critically handled? It is because Iswarakrshna doesn't bring the Ishvara in his text. When he expounds his Sankhya, nowhere Ishvara is brought in. The creation is also because of Prakriti Purusha Sambandham. Now, of course, Vedanta has a room that they can be critical about Sankhya, and they indeed are, and quite rightfully. Badrayana Vedanta itself, the Brahma Sutra Vedanta itself is critical about Sankhya. Yes, that is perfectly justifiable. So, let us not leave that aspect in our discussion. Yes, Vedanta has, classical Vedanta has, Brahma Sutra Vedanta has, Shariraka Mimamsa of Badrayana has refuted Sankhya philosophy. Why is that? So that is also a very interesting point that we will not escape in our delineations, because when you go look into Vedanta Sutras of Brahma Sutra, the Badrayana, Vyasa, Veda Vyasa, you will certainly see that there is quite severe criticism of Sankhya philosophy. But then why Brahma Sutras have criticized? So we will also consider that. The Sankhyas are embracing Prakriti Karana Vadam. The Guna Vyapara, Prakriti Karanam. This is the material cause of the universe and manifest creation. So that's why it is called Prakriti Karana Vadam. While Vedanta is going to postulate Brahma Karana Vadam. So it is a perspective, and for Vedantic perspective of Brahma Sutra, the Sankhya philosophy becomes an alien force. And that is why it is critically analyzed and even refuted by Badrayana in his Brahma Sutras. It is because of the Prakriti Karanavadam. Now, Brahma Sutras have their Pratignya Vakyam. What is it? They want to just inquire into Brahman. They want to inquire into Brahman. And Patanjalas are going to keep the goal in Kaivalyam, Moksham, Nirvanam, Paramapurushartham. So when it comes to inquiry of Brahman, then that inquiry process will not hold the hands of Sankhyas. They will give a nudge and they want to topple Sankhya postulations, and they have done it. Sankhya has been criticized in Brahma Sutras, but it is different reason. Vedanta wants to inquire into Brahman, and Sankhya Patanjalas want to counter dukkhas. They want to counter dukkha. So you should know the intent of Brahma Sutra and intent of Sankhya Patanjala system. Sankhyas also want to annihilate dukkham. So they are going to mention the means for annihilating the dukkham. Patanjalas too are joining hands with Sankhya philosophers. They also want the heyam dukkham to be abolished, banished, abandoned, destroyed, and get that isolation from any kind of sorrow. When I say sorrow, it is not the sorrow that we consider as sorrow. For us, we materialistic people, mundane people, maybe semi-spiritual people or pseudo-spiritual people, we think our vexation in life itself is sorrow, and we think that's all the sorrow is. Sorrow is not just that. Sorrow is just being in association with the phenomenal nature, the drishya, the prakriti, the gunasambandham. Gunasambandham itself is sorrow. So therefore even pleasure is a sorrow. Happiness is a sorrow. Delight is also sorrow. Because the delight is going to give rise to something which is impregnated with sorrows. Because if you have delight, you are happy. If you are happy, you have attachment. If you have attachment, you lose the discretion and you start doing anything and everything for it indiscreetly. So, the sukham gives you attachment, and attachment gives you activity potential, the karmecha, and then you will be embracing dharma, adharma, papa, punya, etc., etc. And therefore even sukham is sorrow. Consequently, sukham is going to be sorrowful. If not immediately, happiness is happiness. Delight is delight. But consequence, or at least the remote consequence, it is going to be sorrow. And therefore even sukham is to be given up, and not only dukkham is to be given up, because sukham has microscopic trace of sorrows. So that is what the sorrow is, and not that the sorrow by sensation, that our body is hurt, our mind is hurt, our emotions are hurt, our eye is hurt, our I-ness is hurt. We think that is sorrow. And therefore we have something in counterposition of sorrows, which we say delight, bliss, happiness, joy. The joy itself has sorrow potentials. So little insight into the karma mimamsa will tell us about it. And we have considered the karma mimamsa prior to the topic of drishya and drashta. So, klesha mulak karmashayaha. And then the karma siddhanta has been explained, so even sukha has potential sorrow. The point is, absolute end of sorrow means even end of this sensory happiness, delight, worldly delight, laukik delight, parlaukik delight, they all have to end. So, the Patanjala and Sankhya, their radar is pointing at dukkha vinasha, dukkha vyavasthapan, dukkha kshayi dukkha tanukaranam. That is what is their outlook. And they are going to tell you measures for that. While the Vedantis are going to make inquiry into Brahma Jignasa, it is Jignasa as to what is Brahman. So, the two have a different perspectives. Radar pointing at two different things. One is going to conceive, construe, understand, comprehend Brahman. And the other one, the Sankhya Veda Patanjala system, is going to counter sorrows. So in countering the sorrows, they are going to keep Prakriti as heyam, avoidable. The Prakriti as heyam, Drushya as heyam, and because that is the one which is causing sorrow. The conjunctions with the Drushya is causing sorrow, as we saw earlier. And therefore the Prakriti is something from which the Purusha is seeking isolation. But in case of Brahma Jignasa, the Brahma is everything Brahman. The universe is Brahman, phenomenal is Brahman, noumenal is Brahman, visible is Brahman, invisible is Brahman. In that case, what will happen? You will not identify what is avoidable. Matter is also Brahman. Everything is Brahma, sarvam khalvidam Brahma. Nehananasti kinchan. There is nothing apart from Brahman. And therefore Brahma Tattva has been mentioned in various forms. But that is just inquiry of the Brahman. They just want to know what is Brahman. And they are not looking for salvation. It's inquiry into Brahman. Athato Brahma Jignasa. And then the sutras start flowing for Jignasa, for inquiry into Brahman, while Sankhya Patanjalas are going to look at annihilation of Dukkham, Trivida Dukkha Nasham. And therefore these are two different ways, perspectives, dimensions, directions, paths. So the Brahmavadins can postulate that everything is Brahman. But the Sankhyas are going to postulate something avoidable, something acceptable, something avoidable, something embraceable. And this discretion is important in formative period of spiritual process. You must identify something is acceptable, something is rejectable. And in Brahma Mimamsa, Brahma Jignasa, they have profused deism. It is a Brahmavadam. That everything is Brahman, everything is Brahman. It is okay for someone like Mirabai, someone like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because they will be seeing everywhere Brahman because of their level of consciousness. So Brahmavada comes after a level of consciousness, and then you can have Brahma Jignasa, and then the postulations that everything is Brahman, Brahma, sarvam khalvidam Brahma, neha nanasti kinchan, ekameva advitiyam Brahma, nothing else but Brahman. So the material cause of the universe is Brahman, instrumental cause of the Brahman is Brahman, incidental cause of the universe is Brahman. So every kind of cause is Brahman. Brahman is all pervasive. So that is the Brahmakaranavada. So from Brahmakaranavada perspective, Sankhya entails refutation. And that is why it has been refuted. So, it is because of different perspectives of Vedanta of Badrayana and Sankhya of Kapila Iswarakrshna and Yoga of Patanjali Vyasa. And therefore, there is Darshana Bheda. That is why these are two darshanas. Vedanta is one darshan, Sankhya is another darshan, Patanjali is another darshan, Darshana Bheda. And therefore, when there is Darshana Bheda, something is going to be different. So, something will be acceptable, rejectable here and there. So, that is why that refutation of Sankhya has come in Brahma Sutras, and therefore even Patanjali Yoga etena yoga pratyuktaha. Since Sankhya's have been refuted, Patanjala's too stand refuted because they go hand in hand. So there is justification to why Vedanta has refuted. But that doesn't mean that the Sankhya philosophy is altogether discardable, because it is there in Upanishads, it is there in Srimad Vishnu Puranam, Bhagavad Puranam, and even Bhagavad Gita. So, that is the reason why it has been refuted. Because otherwise you would have got the impression that the Sankhyas have been not refuted at all in Vedanta. So that clarification has been given. Yes, Sankhya's have been refuted, therefore Patanjalas are also refuted. But it is because of Darshana Bheda. Perspective different. So if two people are having two different perspectives, naturally acceptable, rejectable will change between two persons. It is because what they aim at is different. Two different things. The difference in perspective would be definitely causing a difference in postulation, then expoundation. So what Patanjala and Sankhya's expound, there is going to be a difference between what Vedantins are expounding, and therefore there will be some tussle, some friction. So suppose Sankhya Patanjalas also take this stand that everything is Brahman, then what is going to be rejectable? Then where is the question of Vivekam? When you have Viveka so important, Viveka sadhana important, so in pursuit of a goal, you need to have Viveka. But when it comes to postulation, yes, Brahman is all pervasive. This is Brahman, that is Brahman, everything is Brahman. That is the Brahma Karanavada. So therefore, we should understand, put the things in perspective and then understand. So that is what I have done today. Conceding that yes, Sankhya's have been refuted by Vedanta, classical Vedanta, Badrayana Vedanta. It has refuted Sankhya's, it has refuted Patanjala's. It is because Darshana Bhedam. So, this reconciliation is also important. So, with that, we will end the topic and session today. Namaskar, all of you.